intentions to participate in the 2025 elections in the month of January 2024. And those who read through my declaration, you're going to realize that when I was listing the major issues that actually destabilizes our country today, I mentioned that the Anglophone crisis was the first problem to be resolved. So I strongly believe that today in Cameroon we have issues of identity. We have an identity crisis, and we cannot build a nation if the two people that formed the nation don't agree. Divided we fall, but united we stand. So of course it therefore means that for us to foster development in Cameroon, the Anglophone crisis must be resolved. You will not imagine the economic consequences of the Anglophone crisis. Look at a town like Kumba that today has been left backwards because before the Anglophone crisis it was booming. Look at Bamenda. Bamenda was extraordinary. I remember when I used to work in Oyumojok, I used to pass through Bamenda, then Bamenda to Manfe, Oyumojok. But even though I'd schooled in Sacred Heart, but I came back through that part 10 years, 15 years after, and Bamenda was really doing well. But look at what the crisis has done to it. Look at how it has affected businesses. Look at how it has affected education.
Even in Douala, rent has skyrocketed.
Of course, because they are internally displaced people. So thousands have been displaced to the Francophone regions, and we have other refugees in Nigeria. Look at the number of people that have been killed, the violence. All of these things are actually issues which must be resolved, because when a Cameroonian is hurt, is the whole country as a nation who is being hurt. So if an Anglophone is being hurt, then is the whole country that has been hurt. So of course the Anglophone crisis is a primary issue and is the first issue I'm going to resolve. And of course, to resolve such an issue, which I would categorize as an international conflict, because when you look at the origin of the Anglophone crisis, you are going to realize that there are so many international elements into it. When it comes to the fact that the Southern Cameroons had to choose between joining Nigeria or the French Cameroon, and that some of these issues were being tabled at the UN, you understand that there is an international component to it. So resolving international conflicts is not something that is trivial, as the present government has taken it or has made it to look like. Of course, so if you want to resolve an international problem, then there must be a set procedure. It must be well organized, and to do that, I'm going to come up with a law. I'm going to come up with a law for the resolution of the Anglophone crisis, because there are several components which must be resolved in in resolving this or actually coming up with a dispute resolution for the Anglophone crisis. So what are we looking at? We are first of all looking at the history of Cameroon. The history of Cameroon. Has it been biased? Has it been poorly written? Has it been written by those who had power? So we have to look into that and explain to the population certain things that happened. The other day I had a dispute with so many Cameroonians on my social media platform when I said that on the 11th of February 1961 a referendum was being held in the southern Cameroon for them to make a choice to join the French Cameroon, and many people came and told me, oh, it's a plebiscite, it's not a referendum, you're not a serious guy, it's a plebiscite. I said, what is a plebiscite? What is a referendum? Now we must understand that the definition of a plebiscite is a general vote. It's a general vote which has been taken by the parliament, but which does not have an impact on the constitution of that particular state. Now a referendum is a general vote which is being taken but which has an impact on the constitution. Okay, so on the 1st of October 1960, Nigeria had its independence. On that very same day, there was a new constitution for the Southern Cameroons, which was called the Southern Cameroons Independence Day Constitution of the 1st of October 1960. Okay. Now, if we go now into the Montevideo Convention of 1933, that actually governs the existence of states, you will realize that in that convention, there were four elements that characterize the existence of a state. So you have the government, you have the territory, you have the people, and you have the capacity to relate or get into relations with other nations. So you realize that Southern Cameroon at that time fulfilled all those criteria, even though it was not recognized as a state by the UN, but it was a state. And that is the reason why Paul Biya, while celebrating the 50th anniversary in Boya, said that Southern Cameroon was a state.
Yes, yes.
He said it. So, of course, if Southern Cameroon had a constitution and a vote was being taken, knowing fully well that that same year in 1961, on the 1st of October 1961, a federal state was being formed in Cameroon, where the Southern Cameroons and the French Cameroons became one, and they had a new constitution called the Federal Constitution of Cameroon, or the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. So automatically it cancelled the Southern Cameroon's independence constitution.
Yes. Yeah.
So due to the fact that that referendum had an impact on that constitution, or that vote had an impact on that constitution, makes that act a referendum and not a plebiscite. So you see, these are things that we don't know, and you cannot come on the bargaining table if you don't know that. So I want to make the
people are moved by emotions.
Yes, people are moved by emotions. I want to make the process fair. I will not take part in it because I'm born of a parent who is an Anglophone and parents are Francophone. If it's only left to me, we should be united. I'm not going to take part in it. So I'll be out of it. The decisions will be taken by certain actors, and I'll first of all make sure that all political prisoners are liberated and separatist leaders are liberated through a presidential pardon. A presidential pardon does not mean that I'm violating the law. A presidential pardon means that I am granting them liberty, despite the fact that they might have committed one or two things. Because it's very important to mention that. The fact that we are disgruntled about certain issues does not mean that we should go to extremities. So we are trying to build a new nation, and we have to put in a different type of mindset to be able to construct it. So those are the foundations.
Correctly, for the people who are watching,
to
get these points clear. First, you are going to set up a commission, look into this Anglophone crisis.
Yeah, it's a whole law. No, it's a whole law.
We are going to establish.
So in the law, there are certain stages. So there will be a stage where they have to do situation analysis, talk about the history. So historians will have to come and tell people the history of Cameroon, because you cannot negotiate
without being muzzled.
Yes, you understand. Tell the truth. Say that in 1972 the Foncha and the rest, they did not accept, but one person stayed behind to sign, and that is why he was being made president of the National Assembly, second personality in the country. Those are the things that we must tell the youth. We must teach the youth and teach every Cameroonian.
Number two.
So that's the first thing. The second thing, as I earlier said, everybody liberated. That means
so
political prisoners.
All the political prisoners.
All political prisoners are freed. All separatist leaders are freed through presidential pardon. The next thing, we are going to apply Article 33 of the UN Charter of 1945, which actually encourages Pacific dispute resolution mechanisms. We are going to choose mediation amongst their conciliation, arbitration, but you must know that with the conciliation and arbitration, the conciliator or the arbitrator takes a decision which he imposes. So I am looking at mediation. Mediation is that both parties come on the table with equal positions, in a way that one party is not coming as the big brother and the other person coming as a younger brother. As I earlier on stated, yes, Southern Cameroon was a state. So if we're considering that, then we must respect that historical fact. So everybody comes on the table as equal, and they are going to decide. We'll have a mediator, of course, who will be an international personality. We could use ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo, who did a great job with Uhuru Kenyatta in the resolution of the Tigray crisis.
Yes,
which to today at least we are hearing of some peace. So we could use them. If the other parties want that the mediation shouldn't take place in Cameroon, which I think it will not be interesting, because the goal is that people should come here and we resolve the issue together.
Okay.
So we'll have the mediation. After the mediation, we have the commemoration of a reconciliation. That is, if the mediation goes well, and I believe that is going to go well, we'll have a reconciliation day where all Cameroonians from both sides will sit together and actually discuss and say sorry to one another and build a new Cameroon.
National reconciliation.
National reconciliation. Now, the next thing would be to resolve all the consequences that has been faced by those in the war. We have soldiers who died there. What is happening to their widows and their children? So we have to take care of them. Free education, free everything. We sponsor them. We have separatist fighters who have died and who have left family members, children. We have to do the same thing for them and their families. We have this destruction of property. We have to restore them. We have economic issues. We have to restore them. We have to build those loopholes which have been created by the crisis. Then when we are done with that, we'll come up now with a new procedure to make sure that the Anglophone crisis never repeats itself again. So respect of each other, putting in place a course just for that, to make sure that the next generation, the new generation that is coming in, the kids have proper knowledge of this type of issue, and that it should never happen again.
So because of time constraints, I'll move to other panel. In nutshell, which means that whether federalism, 2-state, 10-state, or confederation will be determined by
exactly
people based on the law that have established that people should decide what is best for them. Which means at this point in time, you are not taking a position to determine the people.
No.
But the people should be the ones to determine how. So for summary, that you are going to free all arrested in connection with the crisis and all political.
First of all, laying down foundation of history.
Okay, you are going to create
laying down the foundation of history based on truth and not manipulation.
Come up with the law.
Of course, come up in the law. The whole law will have all of those components. The second thing, liberating all political prisoners. The third thing, mediation. The fourth thing, national reconciliation. The fifth thing, making sure that this thing is being taught to the younger generation. The sixth, making sure that all the consequences that were being faced and collateral damages are being resolved.
President, what we always, most African leaders, they might have very good intentions, but we always have colonial interference from So how are you going to free yourself from the French grip and the Western grip?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. According